So the movie was brilliant, and your characters are kind of both interesting. So I want to ask you, both of you, which was the aspect, of your character that you find most interesting to explore?
Yeah, I actually just saw the movie, the final cut, last night, first time.
Oh, wow.
I'm still processing it all too. And there's obviously a lot that I can't say about my character, but I had so much fun being able to play a character that I don't think has been told enough still in movie and TV, and just in general. So it was nice. It was nice to play a role that is a little more than it seems, And I think Travis has a huge don't judge a book by its cover aspect to his character, and it was really cool to explore that and be able to watch back even before some story things are revealed and be like, yeah, I can kind of gauge now. I see what what I mean. So it's fun to play a role where you're not entirely straightforward, yet you kind of get to play each end of that character in a different time of the movie. So I think for me, it's probably just getting to hide a little bit and also getting that payoff and that reveal of who Travis really is.
Yeah, absolutely. And Armani does that brilliantly, by the way, in the film. I would say for Kennedy, I really fell in love with her character from the beginning, just in how kind of intense and really marches to the beat of her own drum she is. But actually, I think the part I really enjoyed about playing her was finding what it looked like for her to maybe show like a little bit more vulnerability and to see some of the softness behind maybe the harder exterior. And again, like Armani said, I'm not gonna spoil too much. But I definitely enjoyed getting to at least let that wall down a little bit and see let someone else into the inner workings of Kennedy.
Mm-hmm.
I guess at the beginning, this movie kind of can seem a typical high school comedy, but during the movie you understand that there is a really deep meaning to it. And I want to ask you something about this. What do you think is the most important, I guess, meaning and message of this movie? Because it has a lot of layers for me. Mm-hmm. And it was surprising.
I think I always wanted to be a part of a rom-com. Actually, I want to hit every genre just in general. But I loved how the movie wasn't as straightforward as it seemed, and it could have been, and it still would have worked, But I think it's great that it has a little bit more to it. And I think the main takeaway, at least that I got, is that don't judge a book by its cover. There's a lot more to people than you think, and I like how each character has their own little secret to be revealed. So you might think you know what's going on, but you don't really until you get to the end of that film.
Absolutely. I think just to piggyback off of what Armani said, I think, right, in general, the takeaway is like, there's so much beneath the surface of what we see in people. And in addition to that, I think there's something so beautiful about when we take an interest in people that are nothing like us and kind of give them the opportunity to share, well, you might think this, but I've actually got all of this going on too. And I hope one of the main takeaways is that the recognition that it really can make a difference, not only in someone's day, but really in their life. Even just one moment of encouragement, or those moments where we point out something in someone else that maybe no one's ever noticed, like, I see this in you, or you're really good at this.
Yeah, without spoiling too much, at the end of the movie, there are a lot of plot twists, we can say. And the main plot twist for me was all the fall, we can say, of the stereotypes. Because we can see that all the characters, this movie kind of reverse, the stereotype of that we have of people. And I want to ask you something about this. Were you shocked? I mean, where you first, I don't know, read the script about even your character, from the perspective of your character?
Yeah, I would say yes. Not only my character, but reading about the other characters as well. I think, yeah, it's easy to assume, even to judge this movie by its cover, I guess, of like, yeah, I see where this is going. I know where this is headed. but I know definitely even for my own character, just to see from beginning to end, if I were to compare like the first scene and the last, I think I was quite surprised. So I hope others will be as well.
It's a very rewarding. All the reveals are very rewarding, and I think you're right. The breaking of the stereotypes is still very, very needed in media, because there's still a lot of stereotypes with characters, I feel like, in film and TV. So it's nice to have like a little refreshing difference for once. You know, I honestly think it'd be my character, because when I actually booked Travis, I remember being like, this is going to be really fun, because when I was younger, I was a really shy kid. I could barely even talk to my mom's friends. I could barely even like get out of my shell. And with acting, it helped me get out of that by being able to write it off as another character. And I was able to show emotion without having to be like, oh, it's coming from me. It's coming from the character. So I relate to Travis in the way that he also wants to use acting to get out of his shell and be a little more comfortable with showing who he really is. So I think I would ironically have to say Travis. That's just because it coincidentally fit me pretty well.
Yeah, I know, not to just jump on the horse, but I would actually say Kennedy as well.
Okay.
That's why we're paying them. That's why we're
Yeah, right. I mean, it makes sense, I guess. Definitely, Kennedy's a lot cooler than I was. Like, she's definitely got her style figured out more than I did, that's for sure. But I would say in the element of just being really focused on like, this is what I'm interested in, doing a really good job at that, and maybe sometimes neglecting to remember like, oh yeah, I can like ask other people to help me. I don't have to always be so like Miss Independent. And additionally, actually another random similarity is my character Kennedy writes a play in the movie, and my sister and I actually wrote a musical when I was in high school as well. So some like random parallels there.
And I want to ask you if there was something challenging for you, maybe during, the making of the movie, even in a positive way.
This movie was a fun challenge in so many ways. I mean, even from my first call with Oran, our amazing director, Oran was really helpful in the way that she had a very specific vision for the character, even in terms of the voice. And so, I mean, it was really kind of fun to have the unique challenge of like, oh my gosh, I'm not just playing myself here. Like, I get to really put on the mannerisms and the voice of someone else entirely. And I would say that was probably the most fun challenge.
Yeah, I think also when your character has like a little bit of a twist, somewhat of a challenge, but also somewhat of a fun thing to do, is knowing where your character's going while still playing the version of the character that people don't know the other aspect of yet. So it's fun to be able to kind of put in a little bit of that twist early to give a little hint, so that when someone rewatches, they might be like, oh, now I get it, like if I look at it a different way. So I think that was a fun challenge for sure.
One last question I want to ask you about the meaning of the movie. We speak about the stereotypes, but I guess the main meaning is about accepting yourself, I guess, to live better, in the world. And so I want to ask you, how much is important to convey this message to the young public that will watch the movie?
Huge.
Yeah.
I think that's like really like when you dumb it down, especially for the youth, that is like the pinnacle of happiness, is just being yourself. You can't change that, You have to just learn to be happy with yourself. There's no reason in trying to change yourself for other people. And it might sound cliche and it might sound dumb sometimes, but that really is, at the end of the day, the truth and the meaning.
Yeah, absolutely. I think as well, just I think especially when you're in school, it's so easy to kind of see everything in this through a very narrow lens and feel like, oh my gosh, like there's no one else like me, or everyone, I need to fit into a certain box. But I think this movie really portrays beautifully the beauty of diversity, not only in, racial background, socioeconomic background, but really just personalities and interests. And that is what beauty is. It's in all of those differences.